Moving on to the next group in the Holocene, we come to the Hittites, Minoans, and the Mycenaeans from these regions here. So we are talking about modern-day Italy with Rome, Etruscans, Elba, Corsica, Carthage, and so on. Ionian Islands are here. Mycenae is here, where the Mycenaeans are from. Crete hosted the Minoans. Anatolia, the Hittites are here. We'll talk about Kanish in a minute. Black Sea is already shown, so we are past the formation of the Euxor lake into the Black Sea. Troy is here. There is Troy 1 and Troy 2 that we will talk about, and there were a lot of tradings happening. So the balance of power in Southwest Asia in the second millennium BC. Egypt, Mitanni, and the Hittite Empire showing major trade routes. So we are here in Anatolia. So Hittites are here. Mycenae is here again, and the Minoans would be here. So you have Baltic amber trading through the Adriatic Sea. In the Mediterranean, you have copper between Sicily and Sardinia. The power being in the hands of Mycenaeans, I suppose, at the time. Pottery, wine, olives. You have trading here into northern Africa, Egypt, and so on. Ivory coming north. Copper and pottery here. Tin and copper here. Glass, ivory here, going past into the south. Western Assyrians and so on. So there is some geopolitics that was used here between Assyrians and the Minoans and Mycenaeans here. So just to summarize, very brief, small towns became growing economic centers in parts of Anatolia as early as 3600 BC. I have still... Yeah, so I will read this down the column and come back to the second column later. Okay. Yeah, that's the best way to do it. I tried not to crowd everything into one slide because it would be too small to read, but obviously that makes this a bit complicated. Nonetheless, small towns became growing economic centers in parts of Anatolia as early as 3600 BC. Communities like Katalahoyuk failed to develop the necessary administrative and social mechanisms to cope with the increased complexity of the settlement and its trading activities. The town failed, and Anatolians of the 5th millennium BC reverted to village life. Small fortified villages flourished in the 4th millennium BC. One of them, Troy 1, dates to just after 3000 BC. Troy 2, founded in about 2300 BC, was fortified town with with more elaborate architecture and fine gold and bronze metallurgy. By the time the Anatolians were trading widely over the highlands in and into the Aegean, the chieftaincies were scattered over mineral-rich areas. About 1900 BC, the Assyrians set up trading colony at Kanish in central Anatolia. So here are the Assyrians, and we talked about Kanish here. Okay. The Hittites assumed power in Anatolia in about 1650 BC. They held a vital place in the history of their time, for they played the Assyrians off against the Egyptians. Hittite power was based on diplomatic and trading skills until about 1200 BC, when the international trade in the Eastern Mediterranean collapsed, and a period of confusion, partly the work of the sea peoples, ensued. The state of Israel was born during this interregnum among agricultural and herding peoples in the highlands behind the eastern Mediterranean coast. Farming settlements developed in Greece and the Aegean islands before 5000 BC. There were radical changes in the late second millennium BC, when the cultivation of the olive and grape vine became widespread and the trading of minerals, stoneware, and other products expanded rapidly. Numerous small towns flourished throughout the Aegean and eastern Greece by 2500 BC, linked by regular trading routes. The Minoan civilization of Crete developed in about 2000 BC and lasted until approximately 1450 BC. The great volcanic explosion of its satellite island Thera in the 17th century BC may have weakened the Minoan power for a while. So Thera, you remember, is here. Okay, it's a satellite island of Crete. After 1400 BC, the center of civilization passed to the mainland, where the Mycenaeans flourished until 1150 BC. Mycenaean civilization collapsed as a result of internal dissension and possibly the exhaustion of agricultural land. So there is the mainland and the Mycenae. This book, People of the World, doesn't rely so much on environmental determinism because it's not coming from the climate angle, but it does consider the fact that the exhaustion of agricultural land may have been a possible cause for the Mycenaean civilization to collapse, and we have discussed about whether the civilizations collapse or decline and so on. But nonetheless, exhaustion of agricultural land could mean expansion of agriculture into regions that were marginally supported by rain and soil health and so on. And when climate changes or multiple years of some climate mode force droughts or floods and so on, then agricultural land may not be as fertile and usable anymore. So there is environmental factor involved there, but the collapse is mainly attributed to internal dissension. Trading activities continued to expand in the Aegean after the decline of Mycenae. Small city-states flourished, unifying only in the face of a common danger, such as the Persian invasions of the 5th century BC, much later. The Athenians enjoyed a long period of supremacy among city-states, the period of classical Greek civilization in the 5th century BC. Alexander the Great built an enormous empire across southwest Asia, of which Greece was a part, in the late 4th century BC. The Roman Empire, which followed, marks the century of the entire Mediterranean area, entry of the entire Mediterranean area into historic times. That's more recent than 5,000 years ago. Developed from Villanovan and Etruscan roots in Italy, imperial Roman power was based on the ruins of Alexander the Great's empire. So there is Italy, there is Rome, and you have the Mycenae here, so you can imagine the waxing and waning of these various civilizations or empires. Rome, Mycenaeans, Anatolia, Minoans, and Hittites, and so on. Okay, so we'll leave this short introduction here and come back and look at other civilizations and get closer to wrapping up this part of the book, or this book as a part of this course. Okay.